You ever had that moment when you sit back, stare at the ceiling, and ask yourself, what am I really doing with my life? You ever felt that hole in your chest, that quiet voice in the back of your mind whispering, there's got to be more than this, but the world tells you to ignore it? Just keep going, they say. Chase success, chase pleasure, chase the dream. But nobody ever stops to ask, what if the dream is an illusion? What if the whole game is rigged? I wish someone had told me about Islam when I was your age. I wish someone had grabbed me by the shoulders, looked me dead in the eye, and said, there is more, there is truth, there is a way to live this life without feeling empty. But nobody did. Nobody told me that peace wasn't in money, that happiness wasn't in chasing every desire, that success wasn't in impressing people who don't even care about you. Nobody told me that life, real life, begins when you find Allah. But here's the thing, we're all born searching, every single one of us. Some people try to fill that search with music, with fame, with relationships, with distractions, but it never lasts. Because the soul, my brother, my sister, it wasn't designed for this world. It was designed for something greater. That's why nothing ever feels like it's enough. That's why every pleasure, every high, every success, because this world was never meant to satisfy you, it was meant to test you. But Islam is the answer this world has been trying to hide from you. It's not just a religion. It's not just a set of rules. It's the key to peace, the key to strength, the key to understanding why you're here, what you're supposed to do, and where you're going when all this is over. Islam is the blueprint for life designed by the one who created life itself. And I know somebody out there is listening right now, feeling that lump in their throat, that tightness in their chest, because deep down, you know this is true. Deep down, you've been searching for something real, something solid, something that doesn't break, doesn't fade, doesn't leave you feeling empty in the end. So listen to me before it's too late. Before you spend another year, another decade chasing shadows, drowning in confusion. If someone had told me about Islam when I was your age, I would have saved myself from so much pain, so many mistakes. And that's why I'm telling you now, because I don't want you to waste your time the way I did. The truth is here, Islam is here. The only question is, are you ready to listen? You ever wonder why people feel lost? Why they keep searching, chasing, running after something that never seems to be enough? It's like a thirst that never goes away no matter how much you drink. They tell you get a degree, get a job, make money, buy a house, travel, enjoy life. But nobody ever stops to ask, what happens when you get it all and still feel empty? Because let's be honest, how many people have all those things and are still miserable? How many celebrities, millionaires, influencers look like they got it all together, but behind closed doors, they're drowning? That's because the world sells you an illusion, a temporary dream that disappears the moment you think you've reached it. See, when I was younger, I thought life was about making it big, about being somebody in this world. That's what they teach us, right? Work hard, climb the ladder, be successful. But nobody told me that real success isn't about the size of your bank account. It's about the state of your soul. Because you can have the whole world at your feet, but if your heart is empty, you have nothing. And that emptiness, that feeling like something's missing, that's your soul calling out for its creator. But the world drowns out that voice. It keeps you busy, distracted, running from one thing to the next, hoping that the next job, the next relationship, the next big achievement will finally make you feel whole. But it never does, because you weren't created for this world. You weren't created to just chase, consume, and then disappear. You were created for something higher, something eternal. And that's what I wish someone had told me when I was younger. Islam doesn't give you just another goal to chase, it gives you the truth. It tells you why you're here, what you're supposed to do, and where you're going when all this is over. It doesn't leave you wandering, questioning your purpose, feeling like just another number in the system. It tells you straight up, you were created to worship Allah. You were created to build something that lasts beyond this life. And when you understand that, everything changes. Because now, you're not just waking up every day going through the motions. You're not just working to make money so you can buy things that you don't even need. Now, every moment has a purpose. Every struggle has meaning. Every sacrifice is for something greater. And when you live like that, with that kind of clarity, that kind of direction, you don't get shaken by the world anymore. You don't feel lost because you know exactly where you're going. But let me tell you something. There are forces out there that don't want you to know this. They don't want you to wake up. They don't want you to see through the illusion. Because if you do, you won't be controlled anymore. You won't be another piece in their system, working day and night for things that don't matter. You'll be free. Truly free. And that kind of freedom, it terrifies them. So I need you to listen to me right now. If you're feeling lost, if you're feeling like there has to be more, don't ignore it. That's your fitcher, your natural state calling you back to your Creator. That's the truth knocking at your heart, telling you to wake up before it's too late. And I wish someone had told me this when I was younger, because I would have saved myself from so much pain, so many mistakes, so many years chasing things that never mattered. But you don't have to make the same mistakes. You don't have to wait until life beats you down before you finally start looking for the truth. It's right here. It's been in front of you all along. And now, the only question is, are you going to answer the call? Life moves fast, doesn't it? One moment you're a child, innocent, full of dreams. The next you're an adult, carrying the weight of expectations, responsibilities, pressures from all directions. And somewhere in between that innocence, that purity, you lose it. You forget what it was like to wake up with excitement, to feel alive, to see the world with wonder, because now it's all about survival. It's about making ends meet. It's about fitting into the system, following the routine, doing what everyone else is doing so you don't get left behind. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you stopped and really thought about where your life is heading? Not just what you want in the next 5 years, not just the next goal on your list, but the real deep question, why am I here? What happens after all of this? What's my purpose? See, the world doesn't want you asking those questions, because the moment you start thinking like that, the moment you start searching for something beyond this temporary life, that's the moment you wake up. That's the moment you realize you've been running on a treadmill, moving fast, but going nowhere. And that's where Islam comes in. Because while the world distracts you with noise, Islam gives you silence. While the world keeps you busy chasing things that won't last, Islam reminds you of what's eternal. While the world keeps changing the rules, redefining right and wrong, Islam gives you truth that never changes. And I wish somebody had told me this when I was younger. Because let me tell you what happens when you don't know the truth. You become a prisoner of this world. You start measuring your worth by numbers. How much money you have, how many followers, how much approval you get from people who don't even care about you. And the moment you fall short, the moment you lose something, you feel like you're nothing. That's what the system does. It makes you believe that if you don't have what the world tells you to chase, then your life has no meaning. But Islam tells you that your worth isn't in your money, your status, or how many people know your name. Your worth is in your connection with your Creator. Your worth is in something that no one can take away from you. And that's the kind of peace that nothing in this world can buy. That's the kind of clarity that makes you unstoppable. Because when you know that this life is just a test, when you know that your real home isn't here but in Jannah, then you stop being afraid. You stop living for people's approval. You stop breaking yourself trying to fit into a world that was never meant to be your final destination. And I know somebody out there right now is feeling this in their heart because you've been there. You've had those moments where you lay awake at night staring at the ceiling, asking yourself, is this really it? Is this all there is? And deep down, you already know the answer. You know there's more. You've always known. You've just been waiting for something to remind you. So here it is. Here's your reminder. This life is temporary. These struggles, these hardships, they don't last forever. What lasts is your soul. What lasts is the choices you make right now. And one day, when you stand before your Creator, none of this, none of the money, the fame, the opinions of people is going to matter. The only thing that will matter is whether you lived for this world or you lived for the one who created it. I wish someone had told me this when I was younger, but I'm telling you now. And the question is, what are you going to do with it? We live in a world that teaches us to focus on everything except the one thing that truly matters, our soul. From the moment we're old enough to understand, they tell us to dream big, to work hard, to chase success. But nobody ever tells us to pause. Nobody tells us to ask, what is all of this for? Because if we really stopped and thought about it, we might realize that we've been running in circles, chasing things that disappear the moment we think we've caught them. And I know that feeling, that restlessness, that quiet voice inside that whispers something's missing. It doesn't matter how much you accomplish, how much money you make, how many people admire you, there's still that empty space, that void. You can try to ignore it, you can try to drown it out with entertainment, distractions, temporary pleasures, but it always comes back because that void isn't physical. It isn't something that money or success can fill. That void is spiritual. It's the soul calling out for its creator. And I wish someone had told me this when I was younger. I wish someone had looked me in the eye and said, this world is not your home. Because when you don't know that, you live like this life is all there is. You get caught up in the race, believing that happiness is just one more step away, one more achievement, one more purchase, one more milestone. But every time you reach it, you realize it wasn't enough. And so the chase continues. But Islam stops the chase. Islam tells you straight up, you were not created for this dunya. You were created for something greater. And when you really understand that, everything shifts. Suddenly, the things that used to stress you out don't seem so big anymore. The opinions of people, the temporary struggles, the ups and downs, they don't control you anymore. Because now, you're looking beyond them. Now, you're walking a path that leads somewhere real. And that's the thing about Islam. It doesn't just give you rules, it gives you clarity. It gives you peace. It tells you who you are, why you're here, and where you're going. And the moment you accept that truth, the moment you stop fighting against it, is the moment you finally start to feel whole. But here's the problem. The world doesn't want you to feel whole. It wants you to stay lost. It wants you to keep chasing, keep consuming, keep searching for something that you'll never find in material things. Because a lost person, a person without purpose, that's the easiest person to control. And that's why so many people fear Islam. That's why they try to paint it as something restrictive, something outdated, something foreign, because they know that the moment you discover its truth, you won't be controlled anymore. You won't be fooled by the illusions of this world anymore. You'll see through the lies, the false promises, the distractions, and you'll walk a different path, a path that leads to something eternal. So if you're listening to this, if you've ever felt like something's missing, if you've ever wondered why the world feels so empty despite all its noise and distractions, this is your answer. The peace you're looking for, the fulfillment you crave, the meaning you've been searching for, it's not out there in the world, it's in Islam. It's been in front of you all along. And I wish somebody had told me that when I was younger. Because if they had, I would have stopped chasing shadows. I would have found peace sooner. But now I know, and now I'm telling you. So the question is, what are you going to do with the truth now that you've heard it? The world teaches us to seek success, to chase after wealth, status, and recognition. From the time we are children, we are told to dream big, to work hard, to make something of ourselves. And so we follow the path laid out before us, believing that if we just achieve enough, if we just gain enough, we will finally feel complete. But here's the truth. Nothing in this world will ever be enough. No amount of money, no number of followers, no level of success can fill the emptiness inside a heart that is disconnected from its creator. I wish someone had told me this when I was younger. I wish someone had looked me in the eyes and said, this world will never satisfy you, because you weren't created for this world. But no one said that. Instead, they told me to focus on my career, to build my name, to make sure I fit in, to make sure I succeeded in the way the world defines success. And so I did. I ran the race. I climbed the ladder. I achieved the things I thought would bring me happiness. And yet, deep down, I still felt something missing. I still felt restless. That's the reality of this life. It keeps you moving, keeps you busy, keeps you distracted, so you don't have time to ask the real questions. Why am I here? What happens after all of this? Because the moment you ask those questions, the moment you start searching for the truth, is the moment you start waking up. And when you wake up, you realize you've been chasing the wrong things all along. And that's why Islam is different. Islam doesn't tell you to run blindly after the world. It tells you to pause, to reflect, to look beyond the temporary and focus on what's eternal. It tells you that your worth isn't in your wealth, your status, or what other people think of you. Your worth is in your connection with Allah. And once you understand that, once you truly internalize it, nothing in this world can break you. Because when you know that everything in this life is temporary, when you know that every hardship, every struggle, every loss is just part of a test, you stop being afraid. You stop living for the approval of others. You stop feeling lost. Because now you have clarity. Now you have direction. Now you have purpose. And that's what Islam gives you. It gives you purpose. It gives you peace. It gives you a reason to wake up every day, not just to survive, not just to make money, but to grow, to improve, to become someone better, not just in the eyes of people, but in the eyes of your Creator. But the world doesn't want you to have that peace. It doesn't want you to wake up. Because a person who is lost is easy to control. A person who is desperate for validation will do anything to fit in. But a person who knows their worth, a person who knows why they are here and where they are going, that person is unstoppable. That person cannot be manipulated. That person cannot be controlled. And that is why they fear Islam. That is why they try to silence it, to misrepresent it, to make people afraid of it. Because Islam frees you. It takes you out of the prison of this world and reminds you of something greater, something eternal. And once you see the truth, you can never go back to living the way you did before. I wish someone had told me this when I was younger. I wish someone had told me that this world is nothing but a distraction, that real peace, real happiness, real success, it's not in what you own, but in who you are in the sight of Allah. But now I know. And now I'm telling you. So the question is, what are you going to do with the truth now that you've heard it? We grow up in a world that teaches us to measure success by everything outside of ourselves. How much money we have, how popular we are, how many people admire us. And so from a young age, we're trained to chase after these things, believing that if we can just have more wealth, more recognition, more approval, then maybe, just maybe, we'll finally feel complete. But what if I told you that's the biggest illusion of them all? What if I told you that no matter how much you gain, it will never be enough? That's the truth nobody tells you when you're young. They don't tell you that millionaires still feel empty, that celebrities, despite all the fame, still feel alone, that the most successful people in the world still cry themselves to sleep, wondering why they aren't happy. Because the reality is, this world was never designed to satisfy you. And I wish someone had told me this when I was younger. I wish someone had stopped me before I got caught up in the race. Before I thought happiness was something I could buy. Before I believed that my worth was in the hands of people who barely knew me. But nobody did, so I ran, I chased, I tried, and every time I reached a goal, I thought, this is it. But it wasn't. The feeling never lasted. The emptiness always came back. Because here's the truth. You were created for something greater than this world. The peace you're looking for, the fulfillment you crave, it's not in the things you can see or touch. It's in something deeper, something eternal. And that's exactly what Islam teaches. Islam shifts your entire perspective. It tells you don't waste your life chasing shadows. Don't build your identity around things that can be taken away. Don't let this temporary world dictate your worth, because the moment you do, you become a slave to it. And when the world controls you, it will break you over and over again. But Islam frees you. It reminds you that you don't need the approval of people, you need the approval of your Creator. It reminds you that wealth, power, and status will all fade, but your character, your deeds, and your connection with Allah, that's what will remain. And when you truly understand that, when you internalize it, suddenly the things that used to consume you don't matter anymore. You stop stressing over what others think. You stop feeling lost because now you know who you are. You know why you're here. You know where you're going. And when you have that level of clarity, nothing in this world can shake you. People will try to pressure you. Society will try to pull you away. The world will try to distract you, but nothing will work because you're not chasing an illusion anymore. You're walking a path that leads to something real. And that's what they fear. That's why people try to make Islam seem complicated, outdated, oppressive, because they know that once you understand the truth, you can't be controlled anymore. Once you stop chasing the world, once you see through the deception, once you realize that your value comes from Allah alone, you become unstoppable. You become someone who stands firm, someone who lives with purpose, someone who isn't afraid anymore. I wish someone had told me this earlier. I wish someone had sat me down and said, don't waste your life looking for happiness in the wrong places. Don't fall into the trap of thinking success is what the world says it is. Success is not in how much you have. It's in how much peace is in your heart. And now I know, and now I'm telling you. So the question is, now that you've heard the truth, what are you going to do with it? The world keeps you moving so fast you barely have time to think. From the moment you wake up, your mind is pulled in 1,000 different directions. Social media, news, work, school, deadlines. Everyone wants your attention. Everyone is telling you what to believe, what to chase, what to value. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your whole life reacting to the world instead of actually living with purpose. I wish someone had told me that when I was younger. I wish someone had warned me that the system is designed to keep you distracted, to keep you running after things that don't matter, to keep you so busy that you never stop and ask the one question that truly matters. Why am I here? Because that's the question that changes everything. That's the question they don't want you to ask, because the moment you stop, the moment you pause, the moment you actually reflect, you start seeing through the illusion. You start realizing that the things the world tells you to chase, money, status, popularity, none of them bring true peace. None of them answer the real questions, but Islam does. Islam tells you slow down. It tells you look beyond the distractions. It tells you don't get so caught up in the temporary that you forget about the eternal. And that changes everything. Because when you know why you're here, when you know who you are, when you know where you're going, your entire life shifts. Suddenly, you're not just existing, you're living with intention. You're moving with purpose. That's what Islam gives you. Clarity, direction, strength. It takes you out of the fog. It silences the noise. It reminds you that your worth isn't in the opinions of others. It's not in your job, your bank account, or the validation of society. Your worth is in your Creator. And once you truly understand that, once you truly believe that, you become unshakable. And that is exactly why they fear Islam. That is why they try to silence it, to misrepresent it, to make people afraid of it. Because Islam doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you dependent. It doesn't make you lost. It makes you free. It gives you a foundation so strong that no storm in this world can break you. It gives you a sense of purpose so deep that no amount of doubt, no amount of pressure, no amount of propaganda can take it away. I wish someone had told me this when I was younger. I wish someone had looked me in the eyes and said, Setha. Don't let this world steal your soul. Don't let it make you forget why you're really here. But now I know. And now I'm telling you. So the question is, now that you've heard the truth, what are you going to do with it? The truth is, this life moves fast. One day you're young, full of dreams, thinking you have all the time in the world. The next day you wake up and you realize how much time has already passed. You start to see the things that once mattered to you so deeply, the opinions of others, the pressure to fit in, the chase for success. None of it really mattered at all. The money, the status, the approval of people, it never brought the peace you thought it would. And then, if you're blessed, you come to understand something deeper, something real. This life was never meant to fulfill you. It was never meant to be the goal. It was always meant to be the test. Every moment, every experience, every struggle, it was all leading you to one realization, that nothing in this world will ever give you what only Allah can. I wish someone had told me this earlier. I wish someone had looked me in the eyes and said, you don't have to run anymore. You don't have to search anymore. You don't have to break yourself trying to find something in this world that was never here to begin with. Because the truth is, what you're looking for, peace, security, clarity, fulfillment, it's not in the hands of people. It's not in the things you own. It's in your connection with Allah. It's in knowing that no matter how hard this world tries to shake you, it cannot touch your soul. That's what Islam gives you. It brings you back to reality. It wakes you up from the illusion. It stops you from running in circles, from chasing things that leave you empty, from putting your heart in things that were never meant to last. Islam takes you by the hand and says, here is the truth. Here is the path. Here is the peace you've been searching for. And when you truly grasp that, when you truly live that, everything changes. You stop being afraid. You stop worrying about what people think. You stop seeking validation from a world that will forget you the moment you're gone. Instead, you start focusing on what actually matters. You start praying like it's your last prayer. You start treating people with kindness, not because of what they can do for you, but because you know that every action is being written, every moment is part of your test, and every test is leading you back to Allah. That's the power of Islam. That's why it continues to spread. That's why no matter how much they try to distort it, suppress it, misrepresent it, hearts keep finding their way back to it. Because truth cannot be hidden, light cannot be extinguished, and those who are meant to see it will see it. So ask yourself, why do you think you're here right now listening to these words? Why do you think out of all the paths you could have taken, your journey led you here to this moment, hearing this message? Because Allah is calling you back. Because He never forgot you. Because no matter how far you think you've gone, He's always been there, waiting for you to return. And now you have a choice. You can continue living as if this world is all there is, as if the next life isn't coming, as if the truth hasn't already been placed right in front of you. Or you can wake up. You can open your heart. You can take that step towards something real, something eternal. Because at the end of the day, when everything else is stripped away, when nothing else matters, all that will remain is your relationship with Allah. So don't wait for life to force you to see the truth. Don't wait for regret to teach you what you should have already known. The time is now, the moment is now, and Allah is calling you right now. May Allah guide us, protect us, and keep our hearts firm upon His path. And may we never lose sight of the truth, no matter how loud the world tries to distract us. Thank you for listening. And more than that, thank you for reflecting, because this isn't just about hearing words. This is about what you do with them. May Allah bless you, guide you, and make this moment the one that changes everything. Ameen.